A Times Now super exclusive. The Supreme Court has hinted at a massive conspiracy hatched through a devious stratagem to implicate Modi in the Gujarat 2002 riot cases. On Friday, the Supreme Court has said that witnesses were coached, that they were tutored into signing affidavits that would suggest that Modi was directly involved. Some of them misrepresented facts voluntarily. They lied. But the Supreme Court stopped short of naming those beyond self-styled activist Teesta Setalvad. Neither has the Supreme Court elaborated on who was behind Teesta Setalvad. Now Times Now has accessed, viewers, an HRD Ministry probe report submitted to the Gujarat High Court in February 2019. The findings point at an allegedly inappropriate nexus between the UPA government and Teesta Setalvad's trust, the Sabrang Trust. The report says the then UPA government had given a grant of rupees 1.4 crores to Setalvad's trust. The grant was approved despite objections raised by the NCERT, which said that Teesta's NGO was ineligible for the funds. Can you believe it, viewers? Her NGO was ineligible, did not qualify to receive taxpayer money that was being given to her by the UPA in the form of a grant, 1.4 crores. The money was later used to print textbooks that were part of the curriculum in Gujarat and Maharashtra. The problem was that the textbooks were full of corrosive communal hate against the Hindu community. That is what was concluded by the report submitted by the HRD probe panel, three-member HRD probe panel. How do we know all this? Because the HRD ministry under NDA in 2016 submitted a report that brought out the truth. What did this probe panel say? Let me now go through the terms, viewers. First charge. It said that from the very beginning, the applicant Sabrang Trust, Khoj, is ineligible to make an application. An HRD grant was wrongly handed out. Applicant director Sabrang Trust, Khoj, is capable of hatred-filled, disharmony-spreading, ill-will-generating, enmity-creating, explosive writings. Yes, viewers. Section 153A and 153B may be invoked to proceed against the director of Sabrang Trust, Khoj, which is Teesta Setalvad. This was flagged by the HRD probe panel. The Teesta UPA 1.4 crore irregular handshake was decoded by the HRD probe panel. The report was submitted to the court. Now, viewers, some very big questions arise, and I want to go straight across to Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan. Madhav Gopalakrishnan is with us from the news pit. Madhav, very serious. Sibal, who was the HRD then minister, was giving 1.4 crores of public money, your money, my money, taxpayer money, to Teesta Setalvad, despite the fact that the NCERT had said that her NGO was ineligible. What do you believe was the compulsion that led Mr. Sibal to give this money out?
Well, Rahul, obviously there will be all sorts of insinuations that would be made as far as Teesta Setalvad and the Congress party itself are concerned, and what really was the need for this money to be given, bypassing the normal procedures. Now, I just want to very quickly take our viewers through the operative portion of this particular document that we have accessed, because it talks about how the informant applied to the MHRD complaining about the educational program of the Sabrang Trust, to which a committee of 3 persons comprising of Abhijit Bhattacharya, Gaya Prasad and Shri S.A. Bari was formed. It goes further to say that these are the following findings: that from the very beginning, the applicant is ineligible to make any application, and hence all money disbursed by the Ministry of HRD has been wrongly done, for which the concerned officials thereof cannot escape accountability, responsibility and culpability for this act. So this is very, very significant. This paragraph in itself says that there was some kind of nexus, some kind of wrongdoing, because of which those officials who actually sanctioned this cannot escape accountability, responsibility and culpability, given that it is ineligible to make any application. Secondly, very important, also says that the applicant director is capable of hatred-filled, disharmony-spreading, ill-will generating, enmity-creating, explosive writings, for which sections 153A, 153B can or may be invoked to proceed against the director. With these words, this committee sums up its inquiry report. So two very, very strong worded findings as far as this entire report is concerned, something the High Court has also taken cognizance of, which raises a very serious question as to what was the motivation behind this kind of the rules being bypassed and the money being given to the Sabrang Trust of Teesta Setalvad, and really will those in power at that time come out and now set the record straight?
Well, we know that the Supreme Court, viewers, and I'm going to put out those quotes of the Supreme Court on your screens. Thanks, Madhav. Those quotes tell us that the petition was devoid of merits filed to keep the pot boiling. It drew a link to those who kept the pot boiling, and one of those individuals is Teesta Setalvad, who has been arrested subsequently on the back of this Supreme Court judgment. Now, viewers, we are connecting the dots. She kept the pot boiling, but who was instigating her to do so? This quid pro quo, alleged quid pro quo that we have been able to expose by bringing out the report of the HRD ministry itself, that was written by a 3-member panel, probe panel, suggests that it was the UPA. And we have Rais Pathan also with us, who was working with Teesta Setalvad for a very long time, got disillusioned and decided to break away from her. Joining us on this show, so is Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi of the BJP. He's a member of parliament and the national spokesperson. Sushil Pandit, A.N. Samsheer of the left, Sanjay Jha and Danish Qureshi, political analyst. I want to first go across very quickly to Mr. Rais Pathan. Mr. Pathan, how did Teesta Setalvad, in your view, allegedly falsify affidavits of Zakia Jafri? उन्होंने ये affidavits कैसे falsify किए, कैसे बनाया ये सब?
ये बिल्कुल 100% सच है, और एफिडेविट जितने भी वो बनाया करती थी तो वो सारे एफिडेविट इंग्लिश में हुआ करते थे. जितने भी विक्टिमों के उन्होंने एफिडेविट बनाए वो सारे के सारे इंग्लिश में हुआ करते थे. और दूसरी बात ये है कि जो एफिडेविट उनके होते थे वो एफिडेविट की कॉपी उन्होंने कभी किसी विक्टिम को दी नहीं उन्होंने, और उसको उन्होंने ये कह के कि अभी आप लोगों को ज़रूरत नहीं है, जब आपका केस चलने पर आएगा तो हम आपको एफिडेविट दे देंगे. और जो आपने हमें लिखवाया था, क्योंकि एफिडेविट बनाने से पहले हफ्तों पहले या 10 दिन पहले वो आके डायरी में लिख के लेके जाया करती थी उनसे पूछ के. अब वो एफिडेविट में वही चीज़ें होती थी या नहीं होती थी वो उन लोगों को, विक्टिमों को मालूम ही नहीं होता था. ये बात जब पता चली जब वो एसआईटी के अंदर और नानावटी कमीशन में जो इंक्वायरी कमीशन था उसके अंदर गए, तो वो जो एफिडेविट जो थी वो वहाँ पर एफिडेविट से जो उनका स्टेटमेंट था वो मैच नहीं कर रहा था कहीं से भी. तो उन लोगों ने फिर कहना शुरू करा कि हमारी एफिडेविट में हमने जो बताया था वो तो है नहीं, बल्कि उसके अगेंस्ट में दूसरा कुछ लिखा हुआ है. तब इनसे बोला हमने कि भाई आपने जो एफिडेविट करा है, और ये जो कह रहे हैं जब एसआईटी में गए थे तो ये कह रहे हैं कि वो वहाँ पर अलग है. और कोर्ट के अंदर भी ऐसी मामला हुआ, जैसे कि मामला अभी उसका नरोड़ा गांव का है. नरोड़ा गांव के अंदर जब कोर्ट में उनसे पूछा गया, वहाँ पर एक महिला थी मदीना बीवी, उससे पूछा गया कि आपके साथ में रेप हुआ, तो उसने कहा बिल्कुल नहीं. तो कहा कि आपकी एफिडेविट में है ये कि आपके साथ में रेप हुआ? तो उसने कहा बिल्कुल एफिडेविट झूठी है और इसमें मुझे कुछ बताया नहीं गया. तो कहा कि साइन आपके हैं? तो उन्होंने ये कहा कि साइन और नोटरी हमारी कराई गई, लेकिन हमको ये कहा गया कि इसके अंदर ये चीज़ कुछ भी लिखी हुई नहीं है, जो आपने बताया वही है, और उसकी कॉपी भी हमें नहीं दी गई. तो इस तरह से हमने ये सवाल उठाया 2008 में. और जकिया जाफरी जो हैं खुद, जकिया जाफरी भी पढ़ी लिखी नहीं है जी, उनकी भी जो उनकी भी जो एफिडेविट है उनको भी खुद को नहीं मालूम कि उनकी एफिडेविट में क्या लिखा हुआ था।
ठीक है, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं, यू हैव वर्कड वेरी क्लोजली, आप तीस्ता जी के सहयोगी थे। मैं आपसे यह पूछना चाहता हूं, उनको ऑलमोस्ट 2.5 करोड़ मिले यूपीए सरकार से। Why was she given this money by Mr. Sibal's ministry despite her trust? जबकि उनका ट्रस्ट इनएलिजिबल था। यह ऐसी क्यों मेहरबानी की गई? 1.5 करोड़, सॉरी 1.5 करोड़ दिए, क्यों दिए? इनएलिजिबल ट्रस्ट था तभी भी दिए, क्यों? आप क्या समझते हैं?
नहीं, उस वक्त इनको तो उन्होंने, क्योंकि वो पूरी तरह से कांग्रेस की सपोर्ट थी इनको हर तरह से, इनके एक ट्रस्ट तो है नहीं, इनके तो कई ट्रस्ट थे, तो वो उसको एडजस्टमेंट किसी और ट्रस्ट में किया गया था।
अच्छा।
और ये सिटीजन फॉर जस्टिस एंड पीस, ये दंगा हुआ 2002 फरवरी में, इनका जो सिटीजन फॉर जस्टिस एंड पीस जो है ये अप्रैल में जो है
किस आधार
रजिस्ट्रेशन
पे ये
हुआ है।
सब कह रहे हैं कि उनके ताल्लुकात थे और ये सब किस सपोर्ट था, किस आधार पे आप कह रहे हैं राइस साहब?
बिल्कुल, और उस वक्त की लेफ्ट ने भी दिया था इनको पैसा
उनको दिया
आगे
था।
बिंद्रा करार थी,
Brinda Karat bhi. So all these people. Okay, now 1 second. Let's open this up. The left is also represented. The Congress is here also represented. Sanjay Jha. We know from the Supreme Court's own judgment that Teesta Setalvad was keeping the pot boiling. What we didn't know till now is at whose behest she kept that pot boiling. And Rais Khan says it was at the Congress's behest. She was working in tandem with the Congress to fix Modi. Mr. Jha, isn't this shocking? Why shouldn't those who are also her patrons, fine, the puppets have been jailed, but what about the patrons? Should they also not be jailed?
Well, Rahul, is very interesting. I read the Supreme Court verdict, and I also want to tell you what the Supreme Court said earlier, right? This is the same Supreme Court of India that said that the Gujarat government was like a modern day Nero, and we all know that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. And we all know who the Supreme Court was alluding towards. Point number two, why
how do you know?
Supreme Court,
no, don't put words in the mouth of the Supreme Court, especially not on this show, because I don't want to be held up in contempt. First of all, it was an obiter dicta. It was an observation that was made. It was a sweeping observation. They didn't name Mr. Modi. And by that logic, sir, by that logic, Rajiv Gandhi rationalized the 1984 riots. There were several riots in different Congress-ruled states over many years. Should therefore the same point be made against every Congress Prime Minister and Chief Minister?
Well, let me tell you, the Supreme Court did not make a comment on Rajiv Gandhi, but the very important
naturally
point
because there were no cooked up, obviously there were no cooked up affidavits to put Rajiv Gandhi in the dock.
Why? No, 1 minute. Why did the Supreme Court shift several cases related to the riots out of Gujarat? Because they did not trust the administration of Mr. Modi.
That's okay. Despite that, the Supreme Court, that should make it doubly in our minds.
That tells you
then it should make it doubly in our minds. No, 1 second. 1 second.
The culture of
okay,
fear.
1 second. Let me bring in Dr. Trivedi. Dr. Trivedi, the matter was shifted out. He was called Nero. That is what Sanjay Jha is saying. Why are you pointing fingers at us? They are clearly disappointed by what the Supreme Court has said. Dr. Trivedi.
And by the way, Mr. Trivedi knows that Mr. Vajpayee was absolutely
Rahul,
embarrassed.
I would like to further add what Mr. Sanjay Jha has said.
In 2002, the famous Raj Dharma statement. Trivedi ji, जरा वो Raj Dharma statement में कोई टिप्पणी कर दीजिएगा. जो वाजपेयी जी ने मोदी जी को
Trivedi needs to speak. Please let him speak.
सब बताता हूँ.
Yes.
सब बताता हूँ. Everything I will speak. First of all, I would like to say that what Mr. Sanjay Jha is saying, I would like to further add. What happened, the SIT was not instituted by the Supreme Court. It was asked by an NGO. And Supreme Court asked the Gujarat government, and it was on the part of Gujarat government. If they have decided, they could have stopped. But Gujarat government said, okay, we are ready for SIT. SIT by whom? By Supreme Court, by all the officers outside Gujarat. And it is under the strict observance of the Supreme Court, because we were clear कि कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है. That's why on this issue again I would like to remind, सर वो 2002 का जो आप कहते हैं ना राजधर्म, जरा जाके वो वीडियो देख लीजिएगा. मोदी जी is sitting on the left side of वाजपेयी जी, and then वाजपेयी जी said कि भाई राजधर्म का पालन होना चाहिए. Then मोदी जी said वही तो मैं कर रहा हूं, and next sentence of वाजपेयी जी, मुझे विश्वास है ये वही कर रहे हैं. गायब. इसी को डॉक्टर ट्रुथ कहते हैं. यानी पूरे स्टेटमेंट को कैसा आपने हाफ निकाला और अपने मन से यूज किया. एंड द truth which is exposed by the Supreme Court observation on Teesta, Setalvad and several other NGOs. Sanjay Ji, you remember in 2007, the famous statement which has started deteriorating the language or the dignity of the language in Indian politics. मौत के सौदागर. अब बिल्कुल साफ हो गया है शीशे की तरह कि मौत का सौदागर कौन था. Doctored stories, tutored witnesses, and then try to concoct with the money coming from गवर्नमेंट. अब बिल्कुल साफ है कि मौत का सौदागर कौन था और कोई नहीं था. जो मौत का सौदागर बोल रहे थे वही मौत के सौदागर थे. 1.4 करोड़ रुपए देकर उसी पैसे का यूज करके जो लोग मारे गए दुर्भाग्य से दंगों में, उनकी भावनाओं का एक्सप्लॉयटेशन कर रहे थे ना.
Mr. Shamsher, quick response to Dr. Trivedi. We are being told now by Mr. Pathan that even Brinda Karat was contributing money. That's what he's saying. I'm not saying it, mind you.
Yeah, I'm quoting the Honorable Prime Minister Modi's statement from Germany. Emergency, a black spot on India's vibrant democracy. Now in India, emergency's version 2 is taking place. What's happened? Teesta is being arrested. On the same day, 75 June 25 emergency imposed. On 22 June 25, Teesta Setalvad, an indefatigable human rights fighter, she has been arrested. She stands for human rights.
Sir, when
look, in India,
are you doubting the Supreme
fighting
Court?
for human rights is
Are you
becoming a
doubting
crime.
the Supreme Court?
Human rights is becoming a crime.
Yes, human rights. She might have been in one avatar, but in another avatar, she was the murderer of human rights. She was trying to put a man into jail, frame him, a person who's elected by the public.
No, I am not believing that. I am not believing that.
No, you may not believe it, the Supreme Court does. There is no one greater than the Supreme Court. If you have a problem with the Supreme Court, file a curative petition. No, 1 second. You can't sit here and today start suggesting the Supreme Court has not looked into the matter. It's not just the Supreme Court. Let me tell you, the SIT found him to be, and the SIT, the members of this SIT. 1 second, Mr. Shamsi, please don't speak over me, please. मेरी बात सुनिए. The SIT was appointed. The SIT was appointed at the behest of an NGO.
I'm not making
the people of the SIT. 1 second. I will have to lower your favor. I'll have to lower your favor. Please don't speak over me. This is not right. Please. I'm pointing out a few facts. The facts are, viewers, and I want to remind Sanjay Jha of another brutal fact. The High Court of Delhi convicted Sajjan Kumar for his involvement in the 1984 killings. And we know that Sajjan Kumar enjoyed a productive stint and rose up the ranks of the Congress party. Who was patronizing him, sir? Mr. Jha?
Maya Kodani was convicted for 28 years.
So are you saying that two wrongs make a right? Are you saying two wrongs make a right?
She got acquitted much
you are
later.
The one who brought up. You are the one who brought up this angle.
No, but Maya Kodani was in Mr. Modi's cabinet.
I'm asking you, sir.
Maya Kodani was in Modi's
Did she not
cabinet.
go to jail? Did she not go to jail?
She did, because she was convicted by the courts.
If she was... Well, sir, then no one interfered in the judicial process. That means it's a robust process.
I want to ask you one question. Was nobody aware that she was
you are talking about Nero
massacre?
fiddling. At least Nero was not promoting rioters.
Nobody was aware that she was involved in the massacre.
At least Nero was not promoting rioters. The Congress leadership was promoting rioters. And let me also tell you, the Gujarat High Court acquitted. 1 second. She was acquitted.
I apologize for 1984. Ask Mr. Trivedi to apologize.
No, 1 second. Maya Kodani was acquitted by the Gujarat High Court subsequently.
I have.
Listen, Mr. Jha, you can cut it whichever way you want to.
And the BJP to accept the responsibility
You can cut it whichever way you want to. You can cut it whichever way you want to, but you can't cut the facts. The facts are Maya Kodani by a lower court.
So was 2002.
Okay, sir, you can keep shouting over me. It's fine. There's no problem. You can keep yelling over me. You can keep shouting me down. But the facts speak for themselves. Sajjan Kumar, convicted, viewers, after several years, promoted by the Gandhi leadership, and they're talking about Neros. Just think about it. I've run out of time. I would have loved to come out to Mr. Pandit and, of course, Mr. Qureshi. Mr. Pandit, I'm personally apologizing to you and Mr. Qureshi both. I couldn't find the time to come out to you. Sorry about this. Please accept my apologies. I leave it at this. Navika Kumar coming up on the News Hour.